Yo, what's going on, guys? Speci here. It is so hot in England right now. We are not built for this heat, but I digress because looking at Collusion again today, obviously yesterday there was a Collusion video, so if you've not seen that, it's a really fun card. Bit of a highlight reel card as well. And essentially the reason I'm trying to play with this card is because Crimes is a sort of archetype I absolutely love. It's one of my favourite things to play, but I just don't think they've got the power there. If you go like a classic route of playing Gord, playing like a Portal, that sort of stuff, I just don't think it's good enough to compete. So I'm like reaching really far, trying to be as creative as possible, because I do feel like this meta's sort of a bit stifling with Skellige at the moment, and like the Visigoth nerf with NR means like there's not much going on with NR apart from like Visigoth Defender, which isn't my most favourite thing in the world, to be completely honest. I don't really enjoy those sorts of decks. So I was like, right, cool. Syndicate, we've already obviously got a very good Scoia'tael deck. The other faction that's sort of like frowned upon the most is Syndicate, and it's maybe the one where there's the most difficult deck building potential. So I've changed this slightly. It's an absolute disgrace of a deck. Like, it is so ugly and it looks disgusting, but I don't know, maybe it's greedy enough it works. So it's very similar to the one I shared yesterday, the idea of focusing on a Devotion Syndicate based around Collusion, working with arguably the best card Syndicate has, the Fallen Knights. This card is just incredibly strong. It just gets ridiculous buffs off of these Congregation cards. So one route, obviously, knowing that it's very good with this Congregation card, is going down a non-devotion route and using Triss to get access to an extra Congregation. But because I've decided to go with this Collusion card sort of works itself way into a Devotion Syndicate deck, because you need to sort of cram in all these different categories. So the Crown Splitters, the Cut-Ups, the Fire Swans, the Tie Cloaks, the Blind Eyes. A lot of these come in, obviously Fire Swan's pretty easy. And then with these crime decks, you often want to go for Senior, and that's no change. And that's a Cut-Up, as well as Furco, as well as also the Justice target you're going to play. So you've got, oh, so there's your Crown Splitters and Cut-Ups sort of sorted for you in a Crimes deck. And this obviously synergizes well with the Fallen Knight, being that it's got the Intimidate engine, as well as obviously spawning units. So Justice is actually spawning a unit in as well. And obviously Senior just works so fantastically well with these crime cards. Senior is just amazing with Excommunication. And just another big bad boy gold card is the Penance. This card can be very difficult to use at times, but this deck has enough Fire Swan tokens to get the job done. So that's also where Jax is going to come in. Jax is going to be spawning 2 units, which is great for our Fallen Knights. That's going to buff them up by 2. Also, Jax now got an amazing buff where in round 2 and 3, he is actually a spender. So you can spend 1 coin to boost himself by 1, which is a great way of like using overspare coins, because we don't have any like designated spenders like Sea Jackals or anything like that in this deck. Also in round 3, he's also going to gain a coin whenever you play a Fire Swan card, which we've got lots of. Obviously your Fallen Knights and Ulrich are Fire Swans, but you want to normally play your Fallen Knights down first, so that Jax is then going to buff each of those by 2, because he's spawning 2 units. So obviously lots of Fire Swan. We've got a little bit of Cut-Up, a few Crown Splitters, not an abundance, and that's sort of where this Collusion card is quite risky. You don't have an abundance of any of these tags apart from the Fire Swan one. But the Fire Swan one spawning 2 Zealots is just great for your Fallen Knights. That's already buffing each of those by 3, because it's a crime card and you're spawning 2 cards. So let's like look at the rest of the deck. So this is where obviously you get super greedy and you use Igor. It's a card that's like, if there's ever a card that's going to sort of lift this faction off of the bottom, or at least, you know, Hidden Catch I'm sure is decent, but lift this sort of like crime archetype off and give it some hope, it's Igor, because this card is just super interesting to me. You can spend 5 coins and you spawn a bronze allied unit, and we've got 2 great targets for that. There's probably 3 great targets for it in Syndicate. The one we're not using is the Sly Seductress. Just a great target to have multiple of. I guess you could also say Peaches as well would be a good target in a Hidden Catch deck. Definitely something I want to explore if we don't find this deck works well enough. Fallen Knight being the other one, and also Cut-Up Lackeys being a great target as well, because you could potentially have like 6 Cut-Up Lackeys, which is just adding 12 points of removal onto each crime card, which when you think about like an Excommunication into another crime card, that is just very, very scary indeed. Fallen Knights are our main target though, for sure, and actually because you're spawning a copy of a bronze allied unit, also this Igor play also buffs each of your Fallen Knights you've already got on the board by 1, which is kind of cool as well. So obviously you can spend 5 coins with him, but he's also got that insanity tag, which means essentially you're going to knock his health down by 5, which is going to put him at 1 strength to spawn probably a Fallen Knight or a Cut Up Blackie. And this is pretty good because it means if you've got 5 coins, you can spawn 1, but then you can spawn another even without coins. So Eagle's really, really good. But how on earth do we get coins? Well, there's a couple of ways. We use Smuggle. Smuggle actually being pretty good in this deck because it's spawning a unit as well as being a crime. But it gives us that 3 profit, which is really, really nice. When combined as well with our Devotion Mutants Maker, we have actually a decent amount of coin flow. And you can often play round 1 and just get a decent amount of coin carryover, which is really nice. Like 6 coins carryover, 3 coins carryover lends itself really nicely to both Senior and Igor. Even 3 coins carryover plus leader charges means you're getting an extra use out of Igor. Of course, your leader ability as well. If you've got like 4 or 5 Fallen Knights down, your leader just gets stupid amounts of value. So this is sort of the main focus of the deck, these cards here. Also, just worth mentioning, this Mutants Maker is a pretty interesting card for a couple of reasons. It's a Fire Sworn, which means you can actually use it as your backup Ulrich target. Ulrich can be super awkward at times if you don't find the Fallen Knight. Obviously, you'd much rather use a Fallen Knight, but Mutants Maker does give you an option on Ulrich as well, which is pretty nice. But it also has the Salamandra tag, which sort of gives you the slight option of running double assault, because you definitely do need a little bit of removal. And when combined with Azar as well, which I think is just going to be an incredibly important card to defend your Igor, defend your Senior as well, defend your Fallen Knights early game. When combined with Azar, he's going to spawn, if you use the tribute, 2 Scarabs, and that means you're going to have 3 Salamandras. You've got 5 Salamandras in total in this deck, so you do have a little bit of potential for this assault still to be getting that 6 removal, which is just amazing for a 4 provision card, especially like if you go Mutants Maker Assault, it can kind of catch people off guard. Also, what Mutants Maker does really nicely is if you don't have any Firesworn cards, you can use this Congregation to get full value off it. A lot of the time though in this deck you are going to want to use obviously your Congregations when you have Fallen Knights. So there's a couple of other things to sort of mention. I think Bank is going to be a shoo-in for this sort of deck as well. We're playing Devotion, it's our best thinning tool. Also that little bit of profit can be really, really useful. And yeah, 17 provisions left. So what on earth could we do? Essentially, the problem I found with this list was we weren't winning round 1 convincingly. We had like almost no chance at winning round 1. And while that is still true, there is a card that, oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm putting it in the deck, does actually make sense. Dicey Irae. So obviously this card got buffed. I've been a big critic of this card, but we're using lots of Firesworn. A lot of the time with this deck, I was finding I was over swarming if I just didn't commit to round 1, and it meant that I was actually ending up mulliganing cards like the Congregation. I think that happened in the video yesterday. So actually we want to try and commit to round 1 a little bit more, and I guess if you've got a card like Ulrich, you could go Ulrich onto a Fallen Knight, and then it's just like a Congregation, a Smuggle, and a Dicey Irae away from maybe securing the round. Like, that's a lot of points right there. Dicey Irae obviously kind of being very similar to Bone Talisman, but you also do have the fact that it's a crime, which is going to buff your Intimidate engines. It's also a Firesworn card, so in round 3 it would give your Jacks like an extra coin, which is kind of interesting as well. And obviously you're able to use it in multiple rounds, which is sort of what we need in this deck. So, I mean, it seems kind of obvious that Dicey Irae might be the answer, but I've never been a big fan of this card. I've kind of like said it's kind of bad. And it is, but like what else are you going to use? There's a lot of high-end cards in Syndicate. Like I've tried like the Professor. Like I think Helvi just clashes too much with Igor, and I think you'd rather have Igor. I've even tried like a Mike for like that extra tag on the Tide Cloaks. There's nothing really that grabs my attention too much. You could go for like a Damnation, Von Hurst, but all these cards are kind of just a bit lackluster. I had a Tavern Brawl in there yesterday, but let's just go for the Dicey Irae and see what it does for us, because I've only played a couple games with this exact list, but it did impress me. 2 slots left. Well, Collusion. Okay, we've got Crown Splitters, we've got Cut Ups, we've got Firesworn. If we can include a Blind Eye, that is going to add a lot of value to this card if we've got that one Blind Eye down, because it's going to increase. If I've got a Crown Splitter, we're going to buff by 5, and let's say Igor's at 1 strength, our lowest unit, it's going to buff him by 5, which then allows us to use his insanity again, which is just a crazy bit of synergy that I have got to work a couple of times. It seems like really ambitious, but like he is going to be your lowest strength unit, and a lot of decks don't really have the removal to deal with a 1. Also, I guess Azar could mess that up slightly with your Scarabs, but still, like, it can buff him up to by 5 points rather than 4, which is just huge. So that's really, really interesting. Like, the other thing the blind does give you is it gives you 1 extra damage, but really importantly, it spawns an extra Zealot. So obviously, that's 2 points extra just alone on that fire spawn, but also you're spawning in an extra unit, which is of course going to add a lot of points to your Fallen Knights as well. So definitely worth trying to include this blinder. And what you can do with this blinder Apocryphy, it's a combo I've wanted to use a lot in the past, is you can use it on Igor. So Igor's down at 1 strength, and you heal him up, and then you use his insanity again for that extra Fallen Knight without needing to spend any more coins. So that's really nice. And I decided for this last 4 provision card, it kind of made sense to just try and whack a Tide Cloak in. Like, why not, right? If we've got this Tide Cloak down in the round we use Collusion, it's going to give us 4 coins or 5 coins if we've got a blinder. 5 coins, perfect for Igor. Even 4 coins, not that far away. It's like 1 leader charge away. So I've gone for the Tide Cloak Ransackers as the card of choice. It's recently been buffed as well. It's actually a very, very decent card. If you it damages by 2, so it's 5 points. But if you get the death blow, you're gaining 2 coins, which is really good. But if you've got more than 5 coins or more, you could trigger the death blow even if the enemy unit survived. Another little thing you could do with this card is just try and line up that 3 strength unit for your Dicey Irae to just get even more value off that card. So just to recap, basically you want to play into all 3 rounds, I guess now, or 2 rounds. So we want to try and push round 1, but if we just know it's not going to happen, we're not going to win, you can just play cards like Smuggle, cards like the where is it, like the Mutants Maker to get some carryover, and then you're just looking at Ulrich onto Fallen Knights to hopefully power you through a round, commit that Dicey Irae, and you've got lots of cards that are great in short rounds, such as Jax, such as Senior. Also, Fallen Knights plus Igor can just be stupidly good in a short round, and even Dicey Irae can offer quite a lot of points in a short round 3 with all the spawns that we have. So listen guys, I'm not sure how good this deck is. I'm leaning towards it's pretty terrible, but it can be amazing. And I'm just sort of trying to do my best to, like, my Syndicate MMI is down in the absolute dumpster, but I have won the 2 games with this deck I played quite convincingly. I managed to beat a Blue Stripes Commando deck in a short round 3, even though he had like 7 Blue Stripes, by Igor, Fallen Knights and Leader. So we'll see what we can do. There's no harm in trying, right? I didn't know what else to bring you guys today. It's really hot, so my stream early I just cut short and I didn't really get any good gameplay from there, so yeah. It's certainly a fun one to try and get to work. So obviously I've only got 1 bare knuckle brawler, so this is a free kick. I've got Ulrich plus 2 Fallen Knights already, which is, I mean, it's good. I'm not really sure if I'm getting any value off Assault off of Assault. I guess it's going to buff off Fallen Knights. Honestly, this could be like a Collusion turn 1. I've got Crown Splitters, Tide Cloaks, Fire Swans. I think we kick the Assault here, to be honest with you. I don't know quite how to play this round out. I guess there's still a very strong argument that you can never really beat a Monsters deck round 1. So it could just be in our interest of playing like a Smuggle, like a this Mutants Maker as well, and not committing any of our cards, and then just trying to resist the bleed. I think that's probably going to be the line I take. Like, I don't see us beating Monsters round 1. Maybe what I need to do here is just go Ulrich, Fallen Knight, and really try and push this round and commit to it. I kind of don't see it ever working out for us particularly well. Maybe if I had like a Congregation, if we had like a Dicey Irae. I kind of regret mulliganing this Assault as well, because it would have just been a nice card to throw away here. I only really have 2 good throwaway cards, being the Mutants Maker and the Smuggle. I mean, it's not the end of the world kicking this Ransackers, but it just seems like a waste. If you think like this card is going to play for, let's call it 7 points, assuming we get the 2 coins, plus it's then going to add 4, maybe 5 coins, so it's like an 11-point card in certain situations. So I kind of regret already mulliganing this Assault, as it would have just been a nice throwaway card. As I say, I'm pretty sure it's going to be very difficult for us to beat Monsters round 1. Maybe I could have committed to it a little bit harder. Like against other certain decks, maybe I could have gone for it a bit more, but yeah. My opponent's not really had to commit much though because of my line of play. I mean, in fairness, he's sort of suggesting he's gearing up to the pass here. It seems like a waste to go for Ulrich now because I basically wasted 3 points on this. I could go for Bank and just sort of play the top card. Okay, this over profits us by quite a bit. I guess I could go for Dicey Irae. Thing is, I'm going to get it again. I don't know. I don't know, man. Maybe I should have just taken the Mutants Maker, innit? Could have just taken the Mutants Maker. It put Dicey Irae in our hand, though, for the next round, which is kind of good still, so... I guess that's another thing Dicey Irae gives you, is like another card that you don't really care about committing. We'll see what he does here. If my opponent passes, happy days. We kind of feel confident pushing it next round. I would imagine he still plays. Not ideal. I think what you're supposed to do there, again, is just have this Assault in hand. So you could just play 3 cards and pass. Don't forget as well, this is Salamandra, so if you've got 2 of these down, your Assault is going to deal 6, which is pretty huge. He still plays. He's obviously committed, like, barely anything. But, yeah, can't complain too much, I suppose. It's just my own... I'm a bit annoyed I mulliganed the Assault over something else, really. But whatever. Okay, so obviously, Collusion in hand. So we've got Crown Splitters, Firesworn. Cut-ups would be Igor plus Senior. So it's a forced mulligan here. And we find the Blind Eye, which seems good, but like... With no Igor, this card's kind of just terrible. So I think I'm going to kick it. And there's Igor. Of course. I mean, you could argue that it plays for 5 points, and then if you're going to use Collusion, it does add a lot more, because it's going to add Cycloaks. I guess we could have gone for it, and we could have maybe, seeing as I found Igor, had the full value. Okay, so we get a straight up pass by my opponent here. What is my throwaway card? I mean, it's most likely this, right? But this card does just get some stupid value. Maybe it seems really bad at ever being the idea of it ever being Penance, seeing as this is just so many points. I just want to try and go for that full Collusion value, man. I'm pretty sure this is incorrect. It should probably just be a Ransackers. But this is also the disadvantage you have of taking that dry pass line of play. Like, am I not just going to overswarm massively? Probably. Yeah, I probably am going to overswarm quite significantly. I don't think I want Furco for that reason. But then again, sod it. Let's just go for it. Smuggle is going to give us a little bit of coin flow. It's also spawning in a unit. I think we can kick it though from this hand. Senior's great. Just a point card. No congregations, but maybe that's fine, you know? Like, I'm not really spawning in many units with this hand, but we can give it a spin. So I think it's always Ulrich first.
The order's decline began. Give what we demand, not harm a hair on your wench's head.
So this plays around Imperial Manticore plus Succubus. And like you can see, Dicey Irae is actually a really reasonable card in this deck. Like, it's going to get a lot of value. We play a ton of Firesworns. Uh-oh. Shoop makes me nervous, man. Who's playing Shoop in Monsters? Shoop Mage. Oh, God. Rest in peace, Fallen Knight. That kind of wins in the game, unironically. Because... I mean, I guess I can make this play. We're fine. But the Ransackers... does a decent job. It does. It's a 7-point card. Even without the Collusion tag. So, yeah, I really like this card. In come the Neckers. Not what you see every day.
How low we have fallen.
So this is me playing around Succubus. The last thing we need is this Fallen Knight being taken after he's just shooped our first one. Not ideal having to spend the coins like that, but yeah, Succubus is a real thing. Haunt comes in. Don't have any artifact removal. We are, of course, playing Devotion. We need to make a decision on my senior if my coins are going to be spent on him or if we go for Igor spending. I think I'm leaning more towards Igor, to be honest. Again, I'm going to play around Succubus. Okay, and Igor can now come in as our next play. We've got the 5 coins to use on him if that's the route we take. Don't forget as well, the Tycoat Ransacker's being down is going to give us this extra 4 coins. It's just a shame we don't have access to the Blind Eye Apocryphy. In comes the Werecat, which seems very premature. I am going to take the Igor for more Fallen Knights here for sure. We don't have an abundance of Chrome cards, so Senior's not necessarily amazing. We do have a decent amount though. Also with Furco, there is an argument to try and go for Exco. Furco, Exco into like even like a Blind Eye over this Justice. I don't know though. So far we're fine. I think we take the Igor now and we'll continue in this row, I guess. I guess we go here. Again, we are going to just use 1 more coin to try and keep this at a Succubus range. Yeah, this single Blind Eye would have been just amazing. So what you do is you use the Insanity on Igor now and then you'd be able to heal it up. So it would still be at 6 for the next turn. I suppose what you can also do with Igor is if you're not getting any more value off of the card, is you could just transform him into a cut up as well for a bit more value there. So far so good. Igor, Insanity is used. As soon as we play Furco, we have our Crown Splitters as well. Are we ever getting more coins for the boy? I don't think so. I think I'm fine to just transform him here. It feels a bit stupid, but it's just a shame about this Blind Eye situation in it that I didn't have access to that. I guess we just do this though. I would like a couple more coins, but sod it. Let's do that. Obviously, Igor's a cut up, but so are Senior and the Lackey as well. And this is just going to add some points on. Still a nice bit of synergy, like, you know, where basically Senior, even without spending the coins here, is a 9-point play that puts 2 Intimidate engines down. So he does deal with 1 Fallen Knight, which is a bit unfortunate. Maybe I could have gone for a spawn straight away to try and... Maybe I could have like gone for Jax, for example. Or Jackez. That would have played around this. So I think there's a strong argument there was a slight misplay on my part there. I could have gone for that sooner. We want to make sure we don't over swarm. So, at the moment, well, it's going to be 2 Fire Swans come off of this card. Agreed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the back row is free for it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, we're fine. We should have 1 space left at the end of this. Okay. We'll do this. We could go for the Exco, but I think we just want to play it safe and get ourselves this Justice here. So potentially throwing a few points, because it actually throws away a coin on Jax, and it also throws away a crime card, which would buff by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So maybe we could have taken the Exco still, because yeah, it's a Firesworn card, so it buffs Jax, and it's an Intimidate, so it would boost damage, boost, 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 boost. But you can like see this deck's kind of stupid, and I'm sure you can see why I'm actually using Dicey right now. This Tide Cloak is going to get us 4 coins, which we'll just spend on Jacks here as well. We're going to spawn 2 Zealots, as well as damaging the enemy unit with the highest power by 4. Is going to be here. And we're also going to boost the lowest unit's power by 4. So if I had this blind eye, it would have been obviously better because all these would have improved by 1. So we would have spawned 3 Zealots, damaged by 5, buffed by 5, and got 5 coins. So here we go. Obviously, you got to emote. That's a lot of damage. And not the worst finisher. And look at this, the Plumard lining itself up perfectly here for the Dicey Irae to buff everything, including, don't forget, it's a crime card, so this gets buffed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it's also a fire swan, so it gives us a coin, so it's 7. It's going to buff everything. Jeez. That's why it's a 7. And how many units have I got? Like 16. It's like a 23-point Dicey Irae, I think. Oh, he doesn't want the smoke, man. Bear in mind, like, okay, I played against a Radia Shoop. This, and my MMR is down in the dumpster. But come on. Mate, it is so warm. I don't actually think I've got it in me to play another game in front of the camera with this big headset on. I'm so sorry. I really want to upload it. I'm definitely keen to upload some more of this deck tomorrow. I can play some later when it cools down and upload it. But I wanted to get you a video for sure using this deck. And it's just so warm. I've got to get away from my PC, man. It's like 30 degrees in England and we're just not built for it. So there's the list. I think it's pretty good, man. Like, it's full on meme. I just still don't really know how to play round 1 out, to be honest. Like, obviously, we didn't have any congregation, so we didn't overswarm, but there's definitely the potential for overswarming. And there's definitely the potential for getting value off Dicey Irae in multiple rounds. So yeah, I think you guys like this one. That's cool. I like it too. I don't actually know if it's that good. It's super greedy and it's a lot of fun, if nothing else. So Collusion will return, I'm sure, tomorrow. And it's pretty cool to find a deck where Dicey Irae actually makes a ton of sense. Like, this card is so good now. Now that it's got the option to spend and it gains a coin as well. Such a cool card. And you've got some really nice synergies, like with the blind eye on Igor. Even senior transforming Igor when you've got nothing left. The potential for Collusion to buff by 5 on your Igor. As well as spawning Zealots and gaining 5 coins for your Igor. So hopefully you can see the value of just adding this little Ransacker. It's just a good card, to be completely honest, as well. If you've got the 5 coins, you can line something up perfectly. Obviously, you saw there how it removed the Shoop to get coins, while also just being a card that blocked his Succubus and Imperial, well, mainly Imperial Manticore is what I was scared of. So, yeah, and also the Blind Eye Apocryphy. While it's super awkward, you've got obviously your main target being Igor. It plays for so much value on Igor, while also, you know, it could be very decent on Penance in certain situations too. So, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. Struggling to find other sort of decks to play around with right now, but I'm sure we'll find something. Hopefully now, if I can actually do somewhat well with this deck, it very much remains to be seen. It's super early days. I think it's maybe got some potential though. Obviously, we've got a very good Square Tail deck. We've got a very good Syndicate deck. Maybe we look at like NG, NR monsters. There's also the potential to mess around with some Skellige, not playing Warriors, but obviously it's not going to be the best deck of the faction if we commit to that line. And I think Monsters is probably sort of sussed as well. But yeah, I'm going to definitely want to explore with some NR that's not just Pincer Maneuver with Vicegotta and Defender, because those decks just don't really appeal to me. But the Bellahan version's kind of fun. Like, I think Bellahan's a cool card. But I definitely want to play like some decks that don't feel quite as... Have you got the answer to my Defender? If not, you lose. Because it's just not that interesting to me. But anyway, I digress. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully catch you on the video tomorrow. I have also recorded a league match that I'll probably upload tomorrow morning, but I'm going to aim to do like that as a bonus video if you like. And I still want to bring you some like Easter egg videos as well. So when the decks dry up, when I'm struggling to think of like some new decks and that sort of thing, I will look at bringing you some Easter egg type things, such as, I mean, a card we looked at today. There's a little Easter egg in here, and I could bring you lots of these sorts of things. Definitely looking at doing that soon. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Nice one. See you tomorrow. Take care.